to anyone who might have clicked on this video. Sort of just using this as an opportunity to express what's been on my mind recently about the crypto markets and what to do about that from an investment perspective, maybe from a community-driven engagement perspective going forward. And that being that layer 2 solutions, a scaling solution for a lot of these base layer 1s, primarily Ethereum, I believe is going to be the future. And I'm not alone in thinking that. There's a huge portion of crypto investors who tend to agree that layer 2s are probably the future. With that in mind, I tend to agree with them. And there's this great website called L2Beat.com that aggregates a whole bunch of layer 2 projects by total locked value. So you can see here the top one, Arbitrum, is a layer 2 with the highest total locked value right now. And if you actually click into any individual one of these, it provides you a good starting point to do a bit more of a deeper dive into what they do in the technology there. Because each one's a little bit different in terms of what technology they use and the purpose they serve. So for instance, DYDX uses zero knowledge proof rollups, ZK proof, and is more about being a decentralized exchange versus like Arbitrum is going for a more wider universal adoption scale rather than just focusing in on a DEX, a decentralized exchange. So this is a cool little website you should check out. Some of these have tokens right now, and many of them you can use their protocol. You can just bridge over from a layer 1, or sometimes they have on-ramps directly from fiat into the layer 2, which is cheaper. So for instance, DYDX has a coin issued right now. Immutable X does, but ones like ZK Sync do not, even though it's pretty widely accepted in the community at this point that there's probably one coming soon-ish. With that in mind, going to the charts, Immutable X is one, since it's available, I've been keeping my eyes on, but it's been in this downtrend, kind of following the path that Bitcoin's taken for the last couple months, really since late November, early December of 2021, up until fairly recently when it broke out of this downtrend and has started to move up, coinciding with Bitcoin's break as well to the upside. So something I'm keeping an eye on this. I haven't bought any yet, but it is nice to see that we're not just following the straight downtrend again. Now, the main thing that would make me be more optimistic on saying buying some is if Bitcoin can prove to us that this isn't a fake out, that, since it's come above its 20-week moving average, but has gotten rejected by the 200-day, we're still just flirting around up here, which is better than down here. Altcoins can move when we're up here. But I want to see if Bitcoin can hold this level before deciding to make some of these riskier plays. Because, for instance, if I were to buy some riskier asset and then Bitcoin just chugs along here, it might do well in the interim, but if it ultimately just capitulates, the altcoin will capitulate even harder, most often. So that's something I'm keeping my eye on for Immutable X, I believe, is what I was talking about. Yep. Same is true for DYDX, that decentralized exchange. Both of them have been in a macro downtrend, but again, following Bitcoin's path, they've started to surge back up. DYDX has come into a bit of resistance here on its 20-week moving average. But if Bitcoin can hold the line and show more strength, I would assume that this would also keep going. That would be the path of least resistance. So, something to consider. I also want to say this. Either one of these projects has a really low circulating supply. So Immutable X, even though it's ranked 128th with a market cap of 575 million, since its circulating supply is only 12%, its fully diluted market cap is actually 4.9 billion, which really, if we go look at CoinMarketCap, 4.9 is right here. It would be number 32 instead of number 135. So don't be fooled by that, thinking that there's a lot of room for these things to run. There might be, but you never know. Same thing for DYDX. It says its rank is 100 and 154 based off of its circulating supply for 426 million. But again, only 7% is circulating. So extrapolate that to a fully diluted market cap, and that's 6.5 billion, even higher than what we were seeing for Immutable X. So don't go, put all your money in one spot on a relatively risky play given where Bitcoin is right now and the health of the markets. The last sort of thing I'm just kind of throwing out there, and you guys can let me know. Not that there's anyone not that there are any of you guys, but if someone watches this, I'd be curious to hear your input. I think that community-driven and community backing support on all of these projects is really, really important for long-term big moves in its price action. And this is kind of out there, but on Reddit, it's the first weekend in April of 2022, so they have r/place. Something I saw all weekend long is there's enough community support around Immutable X, Here's Loop Ring, and Ethereum that this has been here unscathed, hasn't been vandalized or anything the entire weekend. So there's enough people keeping that going. For what it's worth, you can also see Algorand has just been chilling up here all weekend long too. So, having some sort of community support like that is important, and it'll be interesting to see what happens given what Bitcoin does. The other thing I would like to leave this conversation with is looking at Bitcoin, which I'm going to come way down here to do so. We just had this test of the 200-week moving average, right? So we came up from these local lows down here over the winter and wicked straight up to the 200-week moving average here at about $48,000. Ideally, we would like to see us hold the 20-week moving average here as support to keep things going, keep going up in price action. But I don't want to be too deterministic about that, because if you go back to 2018, and I'll tell you what, we're going to need some more data to do that, you can see that Bitcoin, there were several instances where it made it above its 20-week moving average, right here and right here, but it failed to break the 200-day moving average, this red line. So even though, just like what we're seeing now, we came up and we are sort of playing in no man's land above here, there's always the possibility that we just come straight back down. So hedge your bets accordingly. Anyways,